All right, everyone. Good morning. This is our last morning session, a second last session that will conclude the mass conference, the first ever mass conference. Amadeo is finally online. Amadeo, we've been waiting for you to jump online.
Hey, Amadeo.
But just wanted to say thank you, everyone, for joining us. We have a very special guest today, David Carbajal. I'm gonna go ahead and I don't know, probably butchered it a little bit, but clean Clint Eastwood. So we'll go with that. But I'll go ahead and pass it on to Catalina Sanchez. As you know, you've met her throughout the conference. That way, she can formally introduce our next guest. And I hope you guys have a great session. As always, keep the questions coming on Instagram or the chat. And I will say that David does encourage questions throughout. He definitely wants to have a conversation with you guys. So please just ask the questions on the chat. If you want to raise your hand, you can, and I can request to unmute you. That way you can personally ask the question to David. So without further ado, here's Kat to finally introduce our second guest of the day.
Good morning, everyone. As you know, Professor AJ just said, my name is Catalina Sanchez. I'm just going to reiterate everything that he said. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them via WebEx, the program that we're using right now, or you can go on our Instagram at mass.conference to ask your question on our Instagram story. So that being said, it's my pleasure to introduce our second speaker today, David Carbajal. With mental management and a value for structure, he has been able to create a film career from the dust. Defiant Motion Pictures is a narrative film company created by David in 2018. Since then, they've produced one feature film, Dissolution Row, and many short films alongside from great filmmakers. A recent project, Seth David, you can help me out with that. His last name? Seth
Magana.
Magana. Okay. The Big Red, White, and Blue was accepted into the Austin Film Festival with numerous nominations. Excuse me. David produced and starred as Raymond Littell in the picture. His session today is called Relentless. So without further ado, please welcome David.
How you doing, everybody? Thank you guys for having me again. I appreciate you guys putting this together and giving creatives an opportunity to talk about being able to create something and how to just pass along any knowledge that we can get, wisdom that you're naturally going to learn along the way. And I've always felt it's important to share it. And when you have a platform like this, you know, speaking to a young audience, prior to you guys going out there into the world and giving it a shot, if you're not already, you know, it's not as far away as it seems. And that's what I hope that this can translate into. So where I'd like to start is essentially just small backstory about myself. Don't want to talk about myself a lot here. But I actually got my start at Our Lady of the Lake University in 2016. The first short film, I didn't know what short films were, but the first short film I ever did, I auditioned for it at Our Lady of the Lake. And then it just steamrolled into meeting more filmmakers. So I have I do hold Our Lady of the Lake, you know, in here just because of that. They kind of got me kick-started. I met Leonard Luis, and then from there we started this small little web production called Stone Cold Justice. And one of the things about Stone Cold Justice is it was a small little project. I mean, I'm talking about shooting this on a DSLR, so just a standard camera, tiny little microphone at the top of it, and it's a story that I created in high school. So just just 2 years removed from that aspect there. And what that was able to do, I mean, just going into it blindly, not knowing exactly what I was walking into, you know, fast forward 5 years, I'm here talking to you guys. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool what taking a small step can do for you, even if at the time it seems impossible. Because I don't want to jump into it right away, but working with what you've got while you can. So one of the things I wanted to say real quick is think about all the movies you guys like to watch. Hi, Amadeo. It's good to see you, buddy. Uh, so give me just a second. So think about the movies you guys like to enjoy. Think about the shows. Think about what it takes to make it happen. One thing that I've been learning throughout this experience is building the relationships. Building relationships and trusting your collaborators is going to take your project miles. It's gonna take it to where you've never even thought it could go. And the reason being is because we are not as much as we want to believe that we are the nucleus of the film, the show, if you're in music, the song, or if you're an artist, let's say the painting, we're not. We have to trust our collaborators because they're the ones who are going to continue to push it forward, because we have to be the heart of it. We have to be the heartbeat, of course, but we've got to trust everybody else, all those singular moving parts, because that's how we're going to keep going forward. And that's the goals. How do we continue to move forward? So one thing I'd like to establish is always make sure that you're keeping healthy relationships and you're finding a great way to be a leader. Because in times of adversity, it's going to become important. I mean, I've got more films that I haven't completed than I've got that were completed. Yeah, I know, Amadeo. But the reason I say that is because you got to build on your failures. You can't let them predict the future for you. The past isn't predictive. Behaviors are. So if you behave like the person who failed in that film, you're gonna fail. You're not gonna make the next picture. But if you can adapt, if you can take a step back and say, well, what did David do wrong? I'm gonna give you an example. So fast forward, Stone Cold Justice, 2 years, 2018. I write my first feature film, Streets of Fire. And it's, in my mind, I'm thinking, man, this film it's a race car movie. There's action, there's this, there's that. I'm going to be the lead in it. I got a production behind it. You know, I'm not going to listen to any of the rules. I'm going to defy, the Defiant Motion Pictures came from wanting to defy everything that was holding me back. I'm going to make the movie regardless of what people say I can and can't do. And that's a really good attitude to have. But what I didn't have is the preparedness. So the film was about racing cars, and you know, you can say that we hit a wall. The car just hit a wall because I didn't have a pre-production. All I did was, you know, scout locations, put the cast together, put the director together. That's it. I mean, when we're talking a feature film, when we're talking investing time, money, resources, and not just yours, everybody around you, it didn't work out. You know, that's my first. I consider that a film school. I mean, I invested $2,000 at the time, and you know, being really young at the time, that's a lot of money. And for me to have to take a step back and see that it didn't work out, none of the footage worked. See some questions here. Yeah, none of the footage worked. You know, we want to establish in terms of the pre-production process. The way that I think it can be successful is, in the first step, get your team together. The mistake that I made there is I had every single hat aside from directing in that picture. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to work. So get 5 people you trust. And this comes down to the people you surround yourself with. You want to make sure that the people you're going to have can handle the adversity that's going to come on a film set, especially in what we call, you know, indie films. If making big movies is right here, indie films is right here, we're right over here. So if we want to just get to that next level, we've got to trust our director, we've got to trust our producer, you want to trust your assistant director, your sound guy, your lighting guy. Counsel with them, ask them questions, because I don't know everything that goes on a film set as I should. So that's why I want to get people who are smarter than me. So my thought process on pre-production is get yourself some really good and knowledgeable people around you. Had I done that on that project, it would have been a whole different story. My pre-production would have been 3-4 months, and then production a couple of weeks, and then post-production. We never made it past production. So that's how I feel like a production can be successful is a successful pre-production. You know, you can have the desire to want to become a successful person, but can you discipline yourself to have the desire to prepare? That's what it's all about, is being prepared for the opportunity. And I've learned a lot from a couple of filmmakers, Amadeo. So to answer your question, one thing that I learned from, I'm just going to use you as an example, Amadeo, is, you know, you're young and you're relentless as well in your pursuit of filmmaking. You're constantly reinventing new ideas and you're constantly reinventing yourself to try to create a project. And I admire that about you. I think you're going to be very successful. So one thing that I had to learn is, I mean, you're going to get to a point where you start taking yourself, hopefully not, but taking yourself a little seriously. And you just got to remember, hey, man, I'm just doing this for fun. There's nothing serious about this. We're just making movies. That's all it is. It's just movies. Don't let it dictate your life. Don't let the outcome of those movies, you know, control your emotions either. You know, like, you make it, and the way that the audience receives it, that's up to them. I know that, you know, I know that I can go back and sit down and say, I enjoyed that project because I have the memories of set. I've got the memories of the writing process. Another filmmaker that I learned a lot from, the best advice that I got was from this guy named Alex Ramirez. Some of you guys are probably familiar with him. He told me, you know, when we got started, I was really into one specific filmmaker, and he said, hey, just stop watching movies and just read more about the production process. Read more about the movies you like. Just read. And when he told me that, you know, I enjoyed reading. You know, now I can't make a movie without reading a book. That's where the ideas stem from. Reading something, you know, comes out on page, and then I can create an idea from that. So that's the best advice that I got, is read. And then, of course, he's like a father figure. His name's Hal Curry. He does lighting and gaffing, and he's been in the industry for 40 plus years. He's worked at the White House. I mean, this man's a 70-year-old man, but he trusts me in our productions, and the knowledge that he gives being prepared, on being flexible, it goes a long way. It goes a long way. And pretty much that jumps to the topic of doing what you want with what you have and making it work. And Amadeo, you're great at this. It's about when you have the desire to pursue something, any creative path, you got to have the tolerance for when things go south. Let's not be ignorant to the fact that a lot of us aren't wealthy. A lot of us don't have the social circle that we need to get our film to a Netflix, get our film to HBO, any distributor, somebody to read a script. We don't have that, you know, most of us. But are you going to let that stop you? Or are you going to, continue to sit down and you're deciding your own destiny by saying, hey, I'm not going to pursue anything because I don't have the tools or the resources that I need? I think that's BS. And the reason that I believe that is because I'm here right now. It's an example of, I'm an example for myself of what I can do with nothing. So that metaphor of creating the film career from the dust, it's true. I mean, I'm from the Rio Grande Valley. Nobody who I know is in the entertainment industry. Nobody that I know is friends, nothing. I had nada, no support either. But I knew in here that I could make it happen because I was continuing to see these things. So doing what you want with what you have is jump into relationships. Who do I know? Amadeo. Just going to continue to use you, brother. He's got resources. So when I'm producing a film, I jump to Amadeo. Hey, brother, what do you got? Because I got this. And then he comes to me with, I got this, this, and that. Perfect. I'm going to use that. Now that's a whole other department. Now I'm going to go to something else. What are my locations? You'd be surprised how many locations are super cool with you just coming out and just go ahead and come film. We're closed. I've gotten the craziest for Streets of Fire. I got this entire racetrack in Houston to shut down and let us race cars. And then we did it again in San Marcos. It's a shame that we didn't finish the movie because I pulled off some location manager miracles there. And you'd be surprised what people will let you do. You just got to ask. You just have to ask. And it's one thing that I enjoy about the filmmaking is that excitement. Um, so what did I have in front of me? I had a camera, I had a crew, I had a racetrack. We're gonna go make a movie. Um, but now let's go to Motel Chronicles. Oh look, I just got another question. Let's see. Were you inspired by Robert Rodriguez's DIY attitude? I find, at least in the music scene in San Antonio, Latinos thrive in the DIY setting. Not necessarily, I didn't know who Robert Rodriguez was until like 2 years ago. And I didn't watch movies growing up. I really enjoyed the process of it. Um, and the DIY came from, being young. I had an iTouch, and on that iTouch there was a movie maker. And one day, just playing hooky, a couple of friends and I just started making videos, and lo and behold, the whole thing just takes off. That was my freshman year of high school. I had always had the bug inside me, but then doing that, it just kicked off from there. So between my freshman to senior year, making these scripted productions by accident, because at the time I didn't know what a short film was either. I wouldn't call them short films. Um, and so the DIY thing just came from, that's all I knew how to do. In the Valley, I didn't have resources like film schools. Nobody really talked to you about that. I didn't know what that was. So I didn't get the opportunity to go to film school. And I think the opportunity you guys have is amazing, because I wish I could be I wish I could be that age and then continue to learn more than what I know now. But Robert Rodriguez is great. I got to work with him 2 years ago, and we were doing a really cool project where it was a really small setting. So he was making the movie just like we make the movies, small crew,
Really nice.
small set. What was that?
He's a really nice guy, actually.
Very nice. I mean, he was offering advice. He was joking around, and I was the only actor / filmmaker there. So the filmmakers there. They were shooting a documentary. I kept asking questions. They're like, "Dude, keep asking them." Like, nobody's asking them questions. So I was in the middle of another production as I was on that set. So I would be there. I would ask them questions. I would go home the next day. We'd be shooting my movie, and I would just be taking the advice that I'd pull from there. I'd be taking things that I was seeing him do, throw it in the movie over there. What's up, Amadeo?
All right, so what do you think is actually the hardest part about working with other collaborators? Scheduling, pre-production. What do you think is like the hardest thing?
The hardest part about working with other collaborators is getting out of your own way. If somebody is willing to help you, one of the biggest compliments you can get is they read your script and they're like, "I'm in." What can they? So taking yourself out of the equation now in terms of I'm not in control. Like I came to you because I needed help. There's something that I don't know how to do that you can do. So the biggest thing that I would say that I've learned with working with other people is allowing myself to work with other people. It takes you miles. We just did Desolation Row, a feature film, and that's the best example I could use is I wrote 80 pages. Took me 3 months, 2 to 3 months. I invested all of my money, all of my resources to it, and I met with the director, and I had to give him the trust of, this is out of my hands. I'm gonna act in it, I'm gonna produce it, but the directing, it's his vision, and I had to, as many things that I didn't agree with him with, I let him take the ball and run with it. Think about tires. Think about driving on the road. You can't move forward without friction. So naturally, there's going to be friction. And you just have to be a good leader. You have to know how to talk to your people. Everybody's different. You got to learn how to talk to each individual to continue to move forward, problem solve. The greatest adversity that I faced on set, there was a couple. There's a couple. It's actually fun to think about. Let me see. So we were shooting a film called Motel Chronicles. We were shooting a film called Motel Chronicles. It was real fun. Well, when you're doing a movie, time is the enemy, and the sun is the enemy. Especially if you're trying to create everything from scratch and you don't have all the equipment. We had enough, but we didn't have it all. So our call time was 7 a.m. and we were going to get started at 8 a.m. and we had to get one shot, one scene while the sun was in the morning hour, just like the golden hour. We wanted to use the morning hour. Well, my actor was 3 hours late. My gaffer was pissed off. He was seeing red. I had to be there, and I was acting in it. I was directing it and trying to produce it all. I mean, I'm seeing my gaffer. He wants to get out of set. He wants to go home. He wants to pack up and go home. I got the other guy calling me on the phone, telling me how sorry he is, and I forgave him because, hey, what was I going to do then? I wasn't going to continue to find more problems. I was just going to solve them. So I took a step back. I talked to my gaffer and I told him, hey, I'm not going to let you leave. This is the situation. We're going to shoot inside, and we're just going to figure out how we can get there at the end of the day. What you have on script, it's not what's going to be on screen. There's 3 movies. There's the movie you write, the movie you shoot, the movie you edit. You just got to learn to let go. And it's so fun when you do that because you're seeing this thing that was just a few pages on screen, on script. You see people acting in it. One of the coolest things I do is when I'm not in a scene, I take a step back and I'm looking at everybody who's in the scene, and I'm like, hey, this is cool. Like just a couple of months ago, this was notes on my phone, you know. Then it was script. Now I'm seeing these people act in it. I'm seeing, 20 people on set because of a couple of notes I put on my phone. It's one of the best feelings you can give to yourself is knowing that you're able to create that.
As a filmmaker.
No, go ahead, brother.
Okay, so as a filmmaker in San Antonio, do you think that how would someone approach you, like, to act in their film?
Alexis, I'm going to answer your question after this one. Did you say how does somebody approach me to be in a film?
Yeah.
Well, I think Instagram, I use Instagram as strictly filmmaking, and I'm not really in the audition ring of things. I think that's a whole other beast. And if you're going to go out and do one thing, I also work full time. I'm also a dad. I love to work out twice a day. Like I can't do it all. So I had to let go of the audition ring. So when people ask me to be in projects, it's just because I've worked with them before. And, thankfully I get to skip that process. I don't mind auditioning if necessary. But I primarily, when I do other people's projects, it's because I get asked and, I don't take it for granted. I'm really grateful for that because I don't have to write the film. I don't got to put it together. I get to just hang out and relax. I get to watch them struggle. So it's fun. Alexis, does being an actor conflict? Oh, you updated the question. Let me see. Okay, especially when you direct. It does. It does. You got to think about it. Really great filmmakers like Clint Eastwood, Bradley Cooper, people like that who direct and act in, Oscar-winning films, they've got a great support system. It's a testament to the people who trust them. It's a testament to their talent that they can do both. But let's come down about 5 levels. It's as much fun as it is to say, hey, I'm being a pioneer here, and I'm going to direct it. I'm going to write it. I'm going to act in it. I'm going to produce it. I'm going to hire everybody. I'm going to pay everybody. I got to find the money. I got to sell the movie. Pretty soon, your earth is going to just start to shake. And I don't think it's impossible. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's impossible. I didn't handle it the right way, but at the time, my values weren't where they needed to be. So I will not be here and tell you, hey, it's impossible, don't do it. I think you should do it. I think you should give it a shot. Figure it out. Tell me how you did. Maybe I can learn something from it. Because when you follow your values and, you stick to your principles, you ignore all the other gimmicks that you hear people say. You can't do this, you can't do that. Well, yes, you can. And here's why. Because, I've got fundamentals, I'm balanced, and I engage myself with my crew. You do that, there's no reason why you can't direct and act in a picture. But there's adversity, without a doubt. There's adversity. So the next point that I'd like to bring up with it is the production process. Script. That's one of the coolest parts. I had an epiphany back in the summer when I was writing Desolation Row, and what it was is the script is it's basically like the structure of a house before a house is created. You know, this is what's going to be used to put on the screen. Every single paragraph, every exterior, interior, continued, not continued, cut to, transition, dissolve. Um, every little thing it's essentially just it's a worksheet. It took all the pressure off. When I had that epiphany there, I was like, it just takes all the pressure off. Now I know how I'm going to see the film. Now I know what I'm going to need. I capitalized a gun, capitalized gun, the whole word, because when I read it through later that day, I got to get my prop guy to read it, and boom, he sees gun, he has to write down gun. I hear a sound, there's going to be a sound design. When that clicked for me, I had the film done in 3 months. I also followed what I highly recommend everybody follows, just because it did wonders for me, is the 8-sequence structure. So going back to having a structure we have a structure for our personal lives. I need a structure for our personal life. Your film should too, because that's how we continue to get the story across. So the first 15 minutes, the next 30 minutes, the next 15 minutes after the 30, the next 45, and then it continues to go on. Following that structure, it was butter. The film sitting down every night. I got an office specifically just to write the movie. We were able to get it done because I followed a structure. And what I wanted to jump on with that is when you have your structure and you've got your script, that's going to embody the movie. So going back to pre-production, make sure that your script is where you want it to be. It's going to change. Be flexible, don't be rigid. But it's going to embody your script. So it's going to embody your movie, I'm sorry. So trust it. Love the words. Love what you're saying. Love the message you're trying to preach. And be subliminal. Be nuanced. You don't got to say everything. That's one thing that I'm learning is you don't gotta have the characters say everything that's going on. Let a wink and a nod tell a paragraph for you. Let a transitional scene, let that tell whatever change that character is going through. And I'm sure you guys already know a lot of this, but it's a really great group of people that are in there. I work a lot with Amadeo, for instance.
Yeah, that's true.
So what was that?
About scripts. Speaking about scripts, we have a question from Instagram saying, how do you decide what scripts to take into production? What's your thought process on that?
There's got to be heart and soul in it. I gotta feel it jumping off the page. It's gotta hit me. It's gotta knock me out. I gotta want to put myself in that character's shoes, or see myself in a character, or see a person I know who I know acts, see them bring it out. So the way I decide is my gut. Your gut's gonna tell you everything. Trust it. I've been in bad films. My gut told me to do it, and I like it. I personally love the picture. Another thing that makes me decide what movie I'm going to move forward with is sharing the film with somebody who's not a filmmaker and listening to their reaction when you tell them the story. Like, I'd watch that. All right, that's what we're going to do. We're going to make it. Does impromptu make it easier or harder when filmmaking? Do you prefer it, or do you like scripted more? So improvisation, do you mean like improv, or do you mean the DIY method of filmmaking?
I think they mean improv.
I love improv. So long as you stick to the heart, it's easy to step away, and it's easy to have fun and play pretend. But you got to stick to the heart of it. I think somebody who I admire is Will Ferrell. I love comedy, and I'm going to spend 5 to 10 years of my career one day only doing comedy. And a person who I admire is Will Ferrell, because the way they're able to, you see, the making of movies, and you see the way that he's able to just continuously do a scene completely different, but the heart of it's there, the humor's there, and he doesn't necessarily take the attention away from the other person besides him or the story. It makes it harder for some filmmakers, as it should, because there's some stories that don't need improv. Some stories are written so perfectly, there's no reason for me to come in there and try to give it what I think, my 2 cents. Um, if if but hopefully the director says that, normally they do. Normally they'll say, hey, don't improv this. Like, I love the dialogue, we're going to stick to it. And then not to do it unless it feels right. Ask for forgiveness, not permission, with everything. And it does make it easy. For me, it does. Because I knew, using Desolation Row as an example, I had 80 pages. I had 2 to 3 drafts of it. I mean, the script wasn't done till we wrapped up production late January. The script wasn't done till early January. And that's because I kept changing the film. I kept the film, as we were shooting it, the film was turning into something else. The film went from being this 70s nostalgic piece to a present day story. So I was reading it, I was like, hey, this doesn't fit. So I was changing the story. And where I learned that was on set. What gave me the confidence to do that and not be scared, and to be able to be the leader when your whole crew is looking at you like, David, what are we going to do? Flashback, come back to Stone Cold Justice. I'm on set one day. We completely lose a location. All my actors who came in from Houston, came in from Austin, they're all with me. We're all in a room, and I'm like, all right, well, I wrote 3 pages. I wrote a whole new scene in 30 minutes because I had to. That's the only thing I could do. I could be pissed. I could say, hey, sorry, everybody, just go home. We're done. We lost the location. But going back to the title of this being Relentless, I wasn't going to leave that day of set without footage. So I rewrote the scene. And you're going to do that. You're going to end up doing that. If I had a dream cast for a movie with any 3 actors, who would they be and why? And what characters would you have them play? So my dream cast. That's a cool question. I'd have Paul Newman. I'd have Paul Newman be the lead. I'm a big fan of Paul Newman. He'd be the lead. He'd be the protagonist. I'd have Steve McQueen be the protagonist. I'm going to add 4 actors here. I'd have Steve McQueen be the protagonist, and Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson's an actor. He's an actor who not a lot of people know. Dude's excellent. Dude's a great character actor. And I would just have him be just floating around the movie. And then last, it would be my girlfriend, Daniela. She is my favorite actor. I say that unbiasedly. I actually enjoy watching her on screen. And I would put her in the film somewhere in there. I genuinely just enjoy watching her on a film. Because those people, to me, just pop out. They just pop out. So that would be the characters who I'd like to have on a film. And what would the title? I think it'd be a. What kind of film would it be? Breaking out of prison. They'd be breaking out of prison. That's what they would do. Some way, somehow.
A prison break film.
A prison break film, which we've got. Hopefully, within the next 5 to 10 years, I'll have a prison break film coming out. But jumping back to everything. So we're all filmmakers. If there was one thing that I wish I knew when I was getting started, is, we're all creatives. We're all on this path. If you're listening to this, you're doing it in some way already. So if I was on your side, I think what would I need to learn? Because, I don't like the kind of movies that David likes. That's okay. But we're both filmmakers, so we're both, we're both together in this. So what could I give you that you can take to your next project is thought of this the other day, is have a collection of world-class behaviors. Be the person you want to be in 10 years today. How does that guy, gal behave? How do they talk to their people? What motivates them? What keeps them moving forward? And what's up, Amadeo?
What motivates you, David? Like, why choose filmmaking? What was like the first thing that, I mean, I know like you got started off by auditioning for stuff at Olu, but like what drives you now?
What drives me now? God, first and foremost, I would say, is just being a person with high ideals, good values. I mean, to be completely honest with you, I love filmmaking. I love my other job, uh, but it's not me. It's what I do. Do I do all this? Yeah. At one point, that's what it. At one point, I thought that's what it was. I thought this is why I'm here. I'm here to make movies. Here to do this, and what it did is it put me on a hamster wheel that I took a long time to get off of. Because then I started paying attention to things that I shouldn't be paying attention about. Why don't they like my movie? Why isn't it being well received? Why aren't I getting the resources I need? I've been on. It's been 3 years already. I've got all these productions. Like, why isn't it happening? It is happening. That's one of the things I had to wake up to. Hey, you're on the ladder. You're already making it happen. So what motivates me is I motivate myself. Because I stopped comparing myself to the people around me. I stopped comparing myself to somebody who I used to look up to a lot, Mark Wahlberg, great actor, producer, storyteller. I'm like, hey, why aren't I there on that age level? This, and that. Well, as great as those people are, I started comparing myself to who David was yesterday. Are you better than you were yesterday? Does your current production beat the last production you did? Is there something that got added there that was way better than that other film? And it's yes. I went from having, I was the script writer, the actor. I held the sound. Sometimes held the camera, sometimes held the camera, and 3 people on set back in 2016. Now I've got 30, 40 people in my payroll making my movie, making my script. Did I get better? Yeah, I got pretty good. But am I where I want to be? No. I'm never going to be where I want to be. And hopefully you feel that same way too. You got to constantly stay in pursuit of something, because you can get to the top of the mountain. And if you're not constantly in pursuit of something that's bigger than yourself, you're never going to be happy. And that's what was happening to me. I mean, I went from, starting at Stone Cold Justice, fast forward a year, I sold out the Alamo Draft House with my first short film that I made not by myself, but that I made. And I was miserable. I was like, this, we did it. So what? I didn't get the reception I thought I wanted. And it's like, hey man, dude, just be grateful. How many people get to that point? Let's say there's 10 filmmakers. 10 filmmakers watch a movie, watch a documentary. 8 of those people are going to go out and write a script. 7 of those people are going to actually take the first step in putting a team together. 4 of those people are going to actually listen to the people who are around them and help them push the movie forward. And maybe 1 of those people gets to, break the ceiling that's currently created and start opening the doors for everybody else. And
I have one more question.
what's that?
Okay, so personally, I think San Antonio is a great place for filmmakers. I think it's a haven to practice your art without it being gentrified and commercialized. So do you take advantage of that?
One of the cool things about San Antonio is it is a melting pot in terms of race, whatever your sexuality is. It's a big melting pot of it. We kind of got almost everything. We're not Austin, we're not Houston, we're not Dallas. We're kind of really mixed. Do I take advantage of it? I don't think about it, to be honest with you. If there's no barriers that I've got on myself. There's no going to yourself. Like, the only person who can keep me from making anything is myself. If I'm really dead set on making a movie, I don't care who's the president. I don't care who's the mayor. I don't care if there's a filmmaker out there who's better than me, who's already making good movies. I'm going to make it. And you got to have those blinders on and got to continue to be doing your own film. Focus on your project and that singular project. Because as creatives, we're going to get anxious, we're going to be on a project for so long, you're going to want to jump to the next one. And it's like, no, baby, let's finish this one. Let's make it right. Because we're going to go out there and we're going to make a good movie. And being still is another one of the things I would say. Don't be afraid to be still. Don't be afraid to breathe. Don't be afraid to fail. And don't be afraid to ask questions. Because it's going to relieve a lot of anxiety. And you're going to feel grateful for being in the position that you're in when maybe you shouldn't be in it. I shouldn't be here talking to you guys. But I am. I'm thankful for it. And I'm not going to question it because I don't want you guys to realize it. So it's if there's any advice I can give to a student who's in college to enhance their filmmaking and what they can do to be better now, I would say is I do have something, and it's discipline. I'm going to ignore these notes. Be disciplined, because when you've got discipline, you create a structure. When you got structure, you get form. Form builds character. So be the best version of yourself that you can be and apply that to anything. In this case, we apply it to movies. So if I can give you advice on your filmmaking skills, read what you don't know, read what you want to know, research what you already know, talk to people who know more than you, be open for advice. And I'm really big on discipline. So make sure that you're willing to sacrifice, because it's lonely. Let me tell you, it can get lonely sometimes. I work full time. I'm a dad. I do this, and again, I enjoy fitness. There's very few hours in the day that I actually get to watch a movie. So I don't get to watch movies a lot because I don't have the time. I don't hang out with, a lot of people because I don't have time to do it. Because you know what? I want to make movies. If I'm going to make a movie, it's my resources are going to go to it. My energy and my time are going to go to it after work. Not a party, not a bar, none of that. I got to make a movie. I got to get David to where he wants to be in 10 years. Maybe in 10 years, yeah, I'll take it easy. But I got to have what I want under my belt already. Then I'll be satisfied. Then I can do what what everybody's doing every now and then, dip my toes in it. Don't be afraid to have fun, but while you're out there having fun, somebody like me is getting better. And I'm going to take that opportunity while somebody's out there having fun. Because the best ability you can have is being available. The best ability is availability. So if you're not available for yourself, you're not going to be available for any luck. A lot of this is luck, form and good luck. But the hardest workers tend to find the most luck. That's what I saw. Can you describe?
That's advice, David, sorry, we have one question on Instagram. It says, how do you get your film out there to an indie film?
How do I get my film out there into a? Could you repeat that?
Yes, it says, sorry, 1 second. How do you get your film out there to an indie film? You can just answer the how do you get your film out there.
How do you get your film out there? Be the megaphone for your movie. Let's be honest. Nobody wants to watch a David Carbajal-led movie. Nobody's going to wake up and say, hey, I got to watch this movie by David Carbajal. But if I'm out there and I'm like, hey, you got to watch this movie because there's action, there's this, there's that. It's a phenomenal story that you're going to resonate with. It's got this universal message. We worked really hard on it. We've got this incredible team. People are going to be like, all right, let's see what it's about. You get them in the first 15 minutes, going back to your script. You write a solid first sequence. They're going to watch your movie. So how do you get your movie out there? Be there for yourself. Be there for the film. No one's going to go out there and promote your movie for you. Take away Netflix, take away Amazon, take away Hulu, take away the people who work for them. They're not going to watch your movie. They're not going to promote it. So you got to do it yourself. And that's one of the things that I love, because it's a huge separator. I feel like one of the reasons I could do what I do is because I'm very vocal about what I do. I don't hide it. You know, if I got a movie, I'm going to go put it out there. I didn't put all my time and energy on it just to let it die on, you know, YouTube. I'm gonna put it out there, and I'm gonna try to get it out there. And maybe you're not gonna get distribution, but you know, what did I get out of Streets of Fire? What was the lesson that I learned? We made a great trailer, and that trailer got me Hal Curry, and Hal Curry has $80,000 to $1 million worth of lighting equipment, and he has his own production company, and he gave me the trust and that work, free work, on Desolation Row. I spent $1,000. You know, I got the production value of something worth $80,000. So that's what I would say. What advice would I give to students who struggle with speech performance, stuttering, talking fast, or being too soft-spoken? I would say, I think that I would say that I might not have the best answer for it, but you know, being still, writing down, journaling. You know, I talk fast sometimes. I need a journal. Having a journal changed my life. You know, whether you make it as a diary or whether you just have it help organize your thoughts. So that's what we need sometimes, is just going back to that structure. The discipline to write in the journal, good job. The discipline to write in the journal so it can give you the structure. So then you've got your form. Now you know what you got to do. You know what your goals are. Every day it's right in front of you. I've got my goals written in front of me at my desk. You know, I want to sell my movie Desolation Row. I have a financial goal for myself, and I need to be a good partner in many relationships. So being engaged in that aspect there, I would say would be the best way we can get over things like that. I saw this question here. Can you describe how it feels like to work with Daniela in a film? Is it challenging to separate the personal from the professional? We've done like 8 movies together, actually. And I don't know. I would say it depends who you are, I guess. I think in anything, you don't want to be you in a film. You want to bring parts of yourself into a movie, but I don't want to be David, you know. So whatever there is, you got to just kind of let it go. And if you want to be a performer as well, you got to let it go, you know. So I would say no. I would say it's not challenging. Again, it's just getting out of our own way. So if there's something that I could leave here with you guys is I'm really big on being patriotic, you know, in terms of just having respect for where we are. You know, we come from a place that it does have its faults. You know, there is, you know, inequality where there shouldn't be inequality. And we can give ourselves 100 reasons as minorities, you know, to not pursue things because we're not given opportunities like a lot of people are. Take that away. Don't even think about it because you are. The fact that we're in a country like this, it is an experimental society that we are equal. If it's true and we can be examples of that being true, you know, that could be the salvation of yourself and the people around you. So don't worry about, you know, other cities, other people. Worry about your community. You know, how can I change myself for the people around me and continue to go on this? It is an American dream. You know, it's rumbling through the promised land. There's that metaphor there. It is a promised land, and some people get the trajectory where it's smooth. If you're lucky, it's not smooth. If you're lucky, you can learn. You can fail. You can fall on your face. You can get your heart broken. You know, you can lose all your money. You can lose everything. So that when you still make it to the top, you know, it's been one heck of a roller coaster. I understand there's adversity, but I don't harbor on it. I know there's things that are going to become more difficult, so I just prepare for them. And it's one of those things that it's all in your will. We're all going to be fearful. We've got emotions naturally. Um, don't let them control you. Just let them serve you. Be aware of your emotions, but don't let them control you, because those things that you're feeling might not be real. For the most part, they're not real. It's all in here. Um, so that's what I would say is be neutral in moments, because going back to what I said in the beginning, the past isn't predictive. Your behavior is going to be what predicts everything else. Don't surround yourself with negative people. If people around you aren't, supporting what you do, supporting your cause, supporting your message, don't hang around with them. Positivity, it does reciprocate, and not false positivity, but just people who aren't crashing down on your dream, who aren't telling you can't do this, who are out partying all the time. You know who you should be surrounding yourself with. You know who's going to make you better. Hang out with people who make themselves better, because they hang out with people who make themselves better. And all of that, it creates waves, and you just got to be ready to ride it, because opportunities are going to come from it, and you want to be ready for it. And you're gonna learn that what you thought you wanted isn't what it is. You're gonna be disappointed. You're gonna be really disappointed. But when you can control that and you can turn it into what you want, it makes you really grateful. I feel real grateful that I can talk here to you guys and just give a testimony on discipline. That's all it is for me. I don't think I'm the best filmmaker out there, but I'm a filmmaker. I'm an actor. I'm a writer. It's what I do. How would I describe my film style? It'd be Americana. That's how I would say it. It's an Americana. It's an Americana way, because going back to the whole American dream thing, I believe in it. I believe in working hard. It reciprocates awards. Back then, think about a couple of things. Think about the beginning of man. The only way to move forward as humankind was to boldly pioneer into the unknown, to garner a greater good, to give back to the community. That's how you do it. You got to go into the unknown. You can't have any fear, whether it was a predator or some sort of danger. You had to go into it. How else were you going to move on? How else were you going to move forward? It's going to take sacrifice too. And sometimes a lot of people look at sacrifice and they're like, man, I don't want to do that. I don't want to sacrifice having this because I don't get that. They tend to look at sacrifice like it's a loss. And the thing about it, sacrifice isn't a loss. Remember when people would sacrifice goats, things, lambs, all this to something, whether it's your God, whatever it is that you sacrifice to, it was to get something greater. So it wasn't a loss. You sacrificed for something greater than where you are now. So being optimistic and knowing that, hey, I'm not going to go out on a Friday night, not because I want to be a stickler, but it's because I got to do something tomorrow morning. Hey, if I got a free night, yeah, I'll go out, but I got to be on set tomorrow morning, and I want to be in the best shape I can be. I need to write this script because I know I want to be on set in November. That's what I told myself for Desolation Row. Back in January, I was going to do a whole other movie. All I knew is in January 2020 was November 16th, 2020. I was going to be on set of a feature film. I didn't care what it was, but I was going to be on set. I gave myself that date, and I put that over my head. So every day I was seeing November 16th, and COVID hit. I had a boxing movie I was going to do. The adversity of COVID, the unknown. I can't make a boxing movie, man. Like it would just be bad. Everybody's going to be sweating and working out. It's probably not the best thing to do. So the summertime came, and inspiration can come from anything. Desolation Row is about housing fraud and corruption in a small town. That came just because I was living in Castroville at the time, and I was passing through, construction, general contracting. And I was like, it'd be crazy if they stole that stuff. And then May start writing the movie. I know November 16th is looming, so I have to get the script done. And how do I eliminate the distractions? I invested in an office. So I sacrificed money I could use to play around with to get an office because I knew I was going to sit down and I was going to give myself time to write the movie. Movie's done, throw away the office. I got the script. Now I need the production. I put my team together. Who do I trust? You know, what relationships have I made? Who can help me make this crazy picture? You know? And then there's friggin' COVID. But despite that adversity, despite COVID, despite, you know, not working for an extended period of time, we did the movie. We got through it. I was aware there's all these things going on that I can't control, but, you know, I wasn't going to let it stop me. So that's what we do.
So David, we have about 7 more minutes. Man, I'm super interested. I'm asking like a million questions, but I do want to give one last opportunity for students. Go ahead and ask questions, guys. I know, I don't know. I know some of y'all are on TikTok and Instagram, and it takes a lot of, like I tell students, having TikTok and Instagram, you have some sort of filmmaking ability there, and you have a filmmaker here that you can get great advice from, which he's been giving great advice. But we have about 5 more minutes, so we can respect his time. But please go ahead and ask questions. And David, just to make you aware of the time.
Go for it. Yeah, my computer's at 12%, so if it dies on you, I'm sorry. But I want to answer this question, so go for it. Whatever questions you guys have.
Oh, I'm good.
What's up?
Nothing. Hey, what's up, David?
No, well, if there's no questions, what I could just leave it with is, I mean, I'm grateful for the opportunity again. Thank you guys for putting it all together. If there's anything I can leave you with, is just be relentless. You know, don't be afraid. Oh, thank you, Vincent. Vincent, what's up, man? Don't be afraid, and, you know, trust yourself. Trust your process. Discipline yourself. Trust God. I've got a question here. Remember earlier you said you wouldn't want to be in the movie? You wouldn't want you to be in the movie. Who would you want to be my dream character? My dream character. I think it'd be pretty cool to play Roy Orbison in the movie. I love music, and music inspires a lot of my films, and his music's amazing. I mean, I'd say somebody like Bob Dylan or Tom Petty, but I don't look anything like them. Roy Orbison, I can get a little close. I can get a little close to Roy Orbison.
I could see you as Kerouac.
Jack Kerouac would be pretty cool. No, you know, Charles Bukowski. For those of you who like Charles Bukowski, that'd be a character from one of his novels that I would like to play. Charles Bukowski. Anything Bukowskian, you know, I'm there. Jack Kerouac's cool, but yeah, no, I would say Roy Orbison. That's a film that one day I'm gonna do what John Wayne did, hopefully successfully with The Alamo, and make a Roy Orbison picture. That would be a dream role. Or remaking Cool Hand Luke, which I have playing in the background right now. This is a great movie. That's what I would say. But yeah, well, I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys very much. If there's no other questions, I'll let you guys take it from here.
Let's see. All right. Well, David, thanks again, man. Super inspiring. I mean, I can honestly say, it makes me, proud to see you come out of Olu and come out and talk to students. I haven't had a chance to really see, just because of COVID, a lot of students work, but I have seen Amadeo's work, and man, like, he's a very creative guy, and I can see him going places too. But yeah, he's great. But my final, before you guys leave, is there a way, David, that maybe they can stay in contact with you on Instagram, LinkedIn, something like that, emails?
Instagram is probably the best. I put all my film work on Instagram. I think it's David M. Carbajal. I'll type it in here.
Also, if you go to our Instagram, he's tagged in the photo. So if you guys want to go to Instagram, you can.
That'd be kind of the best. Or if you got something though, I am curious if you guys got any like projects. I always like to read scripts, especially by young filmmakers. So I'm going to put my email address here. If you got anything, I want to read it. If you do anything, if you work on films, if you want to work on films, I've always got productions going. I'm always helping somebody produce something, so I can help you guys, get your foot in the door. So if you got scripts, if you want to work on a project, just reach out to me and I'll put you on something right away. Next weekend. So.
Cool. Well, we got a couple minutes, David. If you don't mind hanging around, just so we can chat. But last question, I normally like to ask a question. What are your top 3 best films of all time?
I would say,
taking into account like filmmaking, editing, and acting.
Filmmaking, editing, and acting. Cool Hand Luke, man. Gotta say, Cool Hand Luke. That film is incredible. The character acting there, it's insane. Chinatown. Chinatown is incredible. Reading a book called The Hot Good Night, which jumped on Chinatown, talked about it. It helped me become a better collaborator because of what Robert Evans, the producer, gave to his director. I forgot his name for some reason. He gave him that collaboration. They had a picture. So Chinatown would be number 2, and number 3. Put me on the spot here. On the waterfront. Anything Marlon Brando, actually.
Yeah.
Anything Marlon Brando. I love Marlon Brando.
I love Marlon Brando too. All right, guys, if you can go ahead and just submit that forms document that's on the link. I know some of you guys have to do for some students. Keep in touch with David. If you got any ideas, shoot him an email. Follow him on Instagram. Give him some support. Give him some love. And by the way, Cool Hand Luke is on Netflix. So if you guys have Netflix, you can watch it on Netflix. So give it a look. So thanks, everyone. We'll see you for the 12:30 session, our final session of the day and of the conference. But we'll see you around 12:25. We'll start letting in students. So David, you don't mind hanging around for a couple minutes. And those that want to hang out, students-wise, to ask questions, you're more than welcome to hang out for a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Hi, David. Are you still? Hi, David.
Hey.
Hi, I'm Antoinette Winstead. I'm the program director.